622 Inca Street looks very different than it did last January.
Need all available officers. 622 Inca, 2 officers shot.
SWAT officers had guns drawn.
Open the front door with your hands up.
And flashing lights were everywhere as a 4-hour-long standoff played out.
It was like pop, 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 pop.
Denver police were trying to get a barricaded gunman who shot 2 of their own to give up.
I told my fiance something's happening at the house.
That gunman was Mary Ellis Quintana's son, and it was her home where he was hiding.
My heart's beating, racing, I'm scared.
Worried about her son, she says an officer took her in a police car down the street.
Just moved me as far away from the house as they could. They had the streets closed for blocks.
When did you first see the flames?
From the corner, I walked over there. That's when I seen the smoke. And I told her, oh my God, my house is on fire.
It would be days before Quintana would know just how bad the damage was.
What did you see when you saw your house for the first time?
Horrible. I was homeless.
Officer body cam video shows the family home turned to ashes.
Oh, and it was unbelievable. Everything was burnt. Everything was burnt.
Her house was completely gone.
I didn't know what to do. I've lived in the house for 45 years. Both my boys were raised in that house.
Quintana absolutely acknowledges that her son was wrong for shooting the 2 officers.
No, it doesn't justify what they did. There was no cause for that, for burning down my house.
She is now suing the city and Denver's police chief.
I was living comfortable in my house, and they put me through a hardship. When somebody makes a mistake, people have to pay.
Using flammable grenades inside of structures. That's where they went wrong on this.
Joe Salazar is her attorney. He says police threw these riot control grenades inside her house. Grenades the manufacturer clearly says are designed specifically for outdoor use and should not be deployed inside due to its fire-producing capability.
In fact, it is so clear in there, I think they mentioned it twice. They had a number of other options.
A next-door neighbor captured the moment the house erupted.
The flames were the craziest part. You know, after the last device the police deployed.
Will Evans also captured police throwing in the grenade. And minutes later,
You gotta go. I gotta go.
I could feel the heat inside the house.
Denver Fire did investigate, and police note in their own report that the probable ignition source for the fire was the CNCS grenade contained within the burn box.
And that's the last window they haven't broken.
A burn box seen here in video taken by that same neighbor.
Have some kind of device.
A chaotic scene that was also heard on police radio traffic.
4 burn boxes in. There's a fire. I need a charged hose immediately on the 2 sides. We got a full fire inside that room.
A fire that left Quintana homeless and grieving for her son who shot himself in the midst of the chaos.
He's just like dying. It's just out of breath, out of any sense of living.
Back at 622 Inca Street, life is getting somewhat back to normal.
I'm better now. I cry and pray a lot.
Insurance money helped Quintana rebuild her house, but she lost just about everything she owned.
I worked all these years to live in that house, to be comfortable for my retirement years. And this happened, and now I have to start all over again.
She understands the sins of her son, but says those don't give police the right to commit their own.
It was a nightmare. I don't wish this on anybody else, ever.
The 2 officers who were shot that day made a full recovery. Denver police declined to comment on this pending lawsuit, but Quintana's attorney says they're trying to claim immunity. That's a legal term that protects police from being sued for actions they take on the job.
All right, should the police be responsible for the property damage here? Donald, what do you think?
The officers used what they had to create a diversion. What they were trying to do is make a forced entry into this home after what appears to, what I believe is after the 2 officers were shot. You know, the real question is, you know, are they responsible for the damage to the house? Well, obviously they are. They threw in some canisters and things got on fire. But, you know, or are the police responsible for kicking in a door, the damage to a door when they're serving a search warrant, or knocking over a fence when they're chasing after people? If we get caught up on that part of the story, we're losing out on really what happened here. We had 2 officers that were hurt, and I understand this mom's grieving, feeling the way that she did. Any mother would under these circumstances. But to equate these officers of committing sins equal to a man who shot 2 officers and created this problem and brought it into his own family's house just isn't really the way this story should have been told.
The insurance kicked in too. I mean, she was compensated. The house was rebuilt. The idea that police, did you get the feeling, Jason, that they were trying to burn this lady's house down?
No, not at all. Not at all.
It was maybe a mistake using that device rather than a flashbang or something else. That is really parsing it, isn't it, Donald? The bottom line is they had already been subject to somebody shooting 2 of their officers. So what is inside that house is extremely dangerous, is it not? And so, frankly, whatever they have to do, right, to bring this situation down.
Yeah, there's flashbangs that some SWAT teams used. We used it on our SWAT team, but these officers might not have had access to the types of things that are normally used, and they had to use what they had. There's some people that will some officers will utilize things like ramming the door, and kicking walls down and stuff in order to get at the person. It is so scary for an entry team to make a decision as to what to do under these circumstances. And like I said, is the damage to the home, yeah, it's sad for this woman, but at the same time, we need to remember these officers that were shot in the line of duty.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you both for your time, Dr. Jason Piccolo and Donald Schweitzer. Appreciate it on a Tuesday night, coming by and helping us out. Good stuff.